really don't. I don't see. They don't have any assets. No
Well,
assets.
how bad was the Shamit trade right now? You could
Horrible.
have Shamit. Somebody would trade for Shamit. Like he'd be a usable piece in the deal.
You could use Shamit to get a DJ Augustine level point guard. I not
Better,
again. Uh,
better.
you could do better. Yeah. Uh, Bembry, is he?
His players tailed off.
I think he's kind of. I think his carriage has turned back into a pumpkin. Cinderella is in her torn dress sitting on the side of the road.
Well, also though, like he's not supposed to be playing this many minutes and starting for a
Right.
team of this caliber.
He's supposed to come in for 10 minutes a game and play at an insane like craziness, disrupt the game, maybe change some momentum, and then go sit his ass down.
If Kyrie doesn't come back, you have to consider starting a Harden, Harris, Mills, Durant, Claxton, or Aldridge 5.
That's a bad 5.
It's not a bad 5, but it's not an ideal 5.
I'm just saying, when a team is so fundamentally sound as the Bucks are, the Bucks have all three elements. They have the unstoppable guy going to the rim. They have the long range floor spacer. They have the ball handler. They surrounded those three with guys who just play good basketball. And none of them are asked to do strange things. They just go out and do fundamental NBA things that they're good at. And my fear for the Nets is that their ability to just have continuity, so that strange things don't happen, is what will kind of help them eke out in a 7-game series versus us.
Right.
The only way to beat them is for us to just overwhelm them with talent.
Right. Which until James plays like James Harden, that can't be accomplished at this point in time.
Right.
So unless we get help in the air, they have the exceptions, and then there's obviously the Kyrie question. But knowing him, he's not going to do the Nets any favors and just be like, nah, I'm not reporting to anybody.
Does he look like someone who wants to play basketball to you?
Look this way. Do you think he knows the Nets record?
I don't think he knows it. I don't
Did
think
he watch
I
the
think
game
I
tonight?
think he might have heard that the Nets are in first place.
Did he watch the game tonight?
No.
Right. How many games has he watched? Probably the first few out of curiosity.
Maybe the fourth quarter of like 5 games.
Right.
Like he checked in.
Probably when they play the good teams, so he can see them lose and feel good about himself.
Yeah. No, I don't think he. You know what? I don't think Kyrie's the type of dude that would wish they lose. I think he would quietly be like.
Actually, that's the exact kind of guy he is, but he pretends not to be.
You know what? I think he might have fooled me.
That's the guy he pretends to be. All this peace and love.
Because all of this shit is about his ego.
100%. You're not going to tell me what to do.
And I'm telling you, like, the whole vegan vaccine thing is full of shit. Because if that's what it was, then say that the opening night when you did your live, yo, the vaccine is not plant-based. I'm not putting that in my body. I'm only putting plant-based materials in my body. So I'm waiting for a plant-based solution. If he had said that, I would have been like, oh, word, okay. I don't like it, but I understand. That almost makes sense. I think he's just been feeling around in the dark for a narrative to basically say, like, how dare they tell someone who's plant-based or only consumes plant-based products.
He's hijacking every conversation there is about the Nets.
Yeah. He takes away from KD's like MVP season. But you have to talk about it. It's the reality of the Nets. Can I make an argument for it though? Can I say why I think it's a good idea this is happening?
because of his body holding up.
Exactly. Maybe he's just really like looking at it like, you know what? I can only really give you like a good 2 months in basketball. So
I said the best case scenario is there's been a conversation we don't know about where he's like, look, I really don't want to take this freaking thing. I'm going to hope that, new government comes in and makes a change. If they don't, by this date, I'll take it.
I think I want to
And the
believe
Nets are
that.
like, well,
That's a lie I want to tell myself if it's a lie.
The Nets are going to say, well, we're not going to announce that because if you spurn us, we'll look dumb, and vice versa for yourself. Let's keep that in-house. There's no reason for it to get out because if you change your mind, it's just not going to look good for you or us.
Here's why that's not true. And when I say this, you're going to realize, yeah, it's not true. If that was true, they would have re-signed him.
No, I think they would have said, when you get your vaccine, we'll give you the contract. You can't get hurt. You know where you are, but we're not going to do it until this thing is done. You told us you're going to do it. Great. We believe you, but look, obviously, I'm saying this is the best case scenario. It's highly far-fetched.
I wish that was true. I like the story. Like that's the way I want the movie script to go. But I don't think that's what it is. I just think that he took a stance. He believes in this exotic science, and everybody believes in things that's off the wall. I'm one of those UFO crazy people. I believe it, but I would never let my crazy beliefs like interfere with the success of.
You don't not fly because you're afraid a UFO is going to hijack your plane.
Right. I don't take my partners who invest a lot of sweat equity into some of these companies that I've started or I'm working on. I don't make excuses for reasons, because I've got plenty of reasons that I could pull on partners, but that's not the way you work. You always try to hold your end up of the bargain, and that's my problem with this Kyrie situation, because not technically, but actually, the current vaccine is not animal based. It's not made of animal protein. It doesn't come from. It's not like they pull the vaccine from animal cells. It's because the vaccine was tested on animals. And so because the vaccine had to be tested on animals, it's considered not vegan. It's made of chemicals. It's not plant-based. It's chemical-based. And they don't.
Does anything an animal eat also not vegan? If an animal eats plants.
Well, when it was a plant, it was vegan. But the moment it got inside the animal, it was no longer vegan.
That seems like PETA's battle, not the vegans.
Look, whatever it may be, that's, what I'm saying? I feel like that's a narrative. It doesn't matter what your story is. Right now, you're letting down your teammates. Unless you and your teammates have made a deal where they understand you're going to come back at X point to make sure you're healthy for the entire playoffs. And I don't know how you plan for that. I thought being vegan, the whole reason to be vegan was because you were getting injured. And I just feel like if you look at the faces of Kevin Durant and Harden, and of course this is speculation, but I don't see people who have a lot of patience with what's going on with Kyrie.
I mean, a lot of times NBA narratives for us, like, these guys are best friends, right? That's what you hear. There's a difference between like your best coworker friend and your best friend.
Right.
But if whatever friendship level Irving and Durant have, right, there was enough for them to basically conspire for a couple of years to link up and play together.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend did this to me. It would put a huge, strife in the middle of our relationship. This isn't some, small. This isn't a fantasy football team,
right?
Where the guy's like, I don't want to do it anymore. This is the NBA. These guys. Kevin Durant is chasing, legendary status. He
Right.
wants
And don't
as
tell
many
me he
titles as
doesn't.
he can get.
And don't tell me he doesn't want it, because look what happened tonight. We were up
Yeah.
16, and he stayed in the game to get that 51. He's playing for bigger things, and that's fine. And that's like it's such a letdown that
He's a leader. He on a night where they had every reason to pack it in. Last game on a road trip, shit team, shit atmosphere in the arena, and he went out and essentially played the entire second half to make sure that his team won. A game that if they lost would suck, but it's like it happens. It just happened the other night.
No, and I promise you, it may not matter to him. He may not have the feeling that it's important, but I promise you, Kevin Durant is aware of it. If they had the number 1 seed last year, they wouldn't have gotten to the Bucks on the second round, and they would have done better than what they ended up doing. I think they want the top seed. I think Kevin Durant wants it, at least, because
of course he does.
He doesn't want to lose.
Of course he does.
And
right,
and
he came here thinking, I'm gonna have Kyrie. I've got a bunch of young guys. He probably already knew.
Mm-hmm.
This was on the back of James's mind.
Yep.
Or had other players in the league that he had talked about this with.
Yep.
Maybe we can work something out. Let me get back first.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's leaving him at the altar. There's no other way around. It's not like Joe Johnson doing this during those years. Like, that would suck, obviously, and it would be much worse. But they came here to do something special and historic, and it's just amazing that this is getting in the way of them doing it, accomplishing that.
I think when he looks 10 years from now, when he looks back at this stuff, it's just going to be such settled science by then that he's just going to look back at this and go, I was really young and dumb. And right. Look, he does look happy. You saw the video with him and his partner, his wife. I'm not sure what their status is, but he looks really, really happy.
I don't expect him to be home. Like I was talking, I forget who it was on Twitter, but I'm like, if we're to believe this Scoop B report that it's the happiest he's been in a while, I can't imagine me. When I played basketball in high school at D3, it was nothing, right? In the grand scheme of things, it was nothing. If my senior year of high school, I couldn't play, or my junior year, I would be devastated.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean I'd be walking around crying 24/7, but it certainly wouldn't have been the happiest moment of my life.
It would be hard to be happy, even if you were standing up for something, right? And I just don't know how that could possibly, how does that optic look to a Kevin Durant, to James Harden? I think James Harden is bothered by it more than Kevin. I think Kevin kind of is like, okay, well, this is what he want to do. So
I think James is just like, fuck him, whereas Durant's like personally bothered by it. Like, he can't believe it.
Right. And he's never gonna talk shit about saying all of the things that we're saying doesn't mean that they're in the locker room going fuck Kyrie. That's not what's happening with they love the dude. Like, that's their friend. But there's no way there's no way that they get eliminated from the playoffs again this year without Kyrie. Not saying that that's gonna happen. I'm praying that in the spring things clear up and we reopen, so no matter what, Kyrie comes back. But at the same time, if he doesn't come back and they get eliminated again, and people are talking shit about Kevin Durant and the Nets being a failure,
no one's gonna feel sorry for the Nets. They're gonna say,
nobody
you signed up for this.
Nobody.
You signed up for Kyrie. You put yourself at this risk.
You knew what he did in Boston, and you still took a stake on everything on Kyrie Irving.
And there's not a lot of Net fans. There's just not, right?
Right.
But the Net fan core that does exist, the fan base that does exist, welcome this guy with open arms. No one judged him for any.
With love.
Like you said, he's a dickhead, but he's our dickhead.
Right.
And we didn't give nobody cared when he took a few days off last year. Whatever.